I am the night, deep, dark, and cool. So I am the cool, quick and hard and cool. So I am the king, rich and wise with rule. So I am the sun, bright and beautiful and fun. So I am the dust, in one many and many one. Welcome to Cryptic Frequencies, a blog talk radio show dedicated to exploring the mysterious. I'm Wayne Thomas. Hosting this show in WKTV Paranormal Podcast has helped me prepare for guests like Exi Susanne Smith, Spiritual Medium and Energy Reader. We ask that you please keep an open mind about things that you might not easily believe as we delve deep into the obscure. Our intro was one of my published poems, an autobiography of sorts. It's the line, in one many, that I believe also describes our guest wearing many hats. Another multitasker, co-host and producer, Mary Bassett, will expand on that thought. Please welcome the mother of invention, Mama Mary.
Hello, this is Mary of Spiritual Voices. I am a psychic channeler, a Reiki master, an energy worker, and I have my Spiritual Voices shop in Hastings, Michigan. I also enjoy helping others along their spiritual journey to become the best versions of themselves. Along with my Spiritual Voices podcast with guided meditations, I also have a PXL podcast that I do with my daughter Gigi. To start off, I would like to read a passage from a book called My Paranormal Life. When I was 12, my life changed forever. And one night, I knew I was going to have to grow up keeping a secret. The fact that I could hear and see things that other people couldn't. I didn't go in search of the dead, but it seems the dead came in search of me. This is an excerpt from a very powerful woman in a book that she wrote. It's to my excitement today that we not only have a paranormal expert, spiritual medium, but also the author of 3 books called My Paranormal Life, When the Dead Come Calling, and The Essence of Death. Exi Susanne Smith is an amazing woman who has spent over 40 years learning from her spiritual and paranormal experiences. She is truly an expert, and I can't wait to delve into the mysterious with her. Exi, how are you?
I'm wonderful, Mary. Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
I can. How are you?
Great. Thank you. Technology was just not my friend for about the last 20 minutes. So it was just kind of, I'm a little frazzed, but I'm going to center myself and do some breathing and be good. But there's one thing I do want to touch on. Good. I am not an expert. I am a learner. And that's why I love you, Mary, because you have taught me so much, and I know you will continue to teach me for the rest of my life, and I find that just exciting as all get out.
Well, thank you. I've been excited for this moment for a while. I've seen you at a lot of psychic fairs and paracons, and I've stood in circles and talked to you like with Kristen, but I've always been kind of shy. So never outspoken in like a large group, so I never really got to speak with you in person. So this is a pretty amazing moment for me.
Aw, I think it is for me too. I listened to you on a podcast the other night, and I cannot tell you how impressed I am with your knowledge and how well spoken you are. So please speak up. Just the things you know and your abilities. I was totally blown away and so entertained, and you just drew me right in. I was like, keep talking. I wanted so much more. So people are missing the boat. They need to get you signed up and get you some speaking events and get you going. Plus, I do a co-host a show, Paranormal Pop, with Brian Danhausen, and so we need to get you on there.
Oh, I would love it because he's actually done a painting for me and it was pretty
yeah.
awesome because even after a couple of months after the painting, like things started to make sense. So heck yeah.
Nice. Oh, that would be wonderful. I've been an astrology freak since I can remember, and especially back in the 70s when we couldn't talk about the not really the paranormal, unless it was Halloween, but you could not talk about mediumship or being a psychic, anything like that. So I really loved astrology because you could talk about that, and that's when it piqued my interest. So when I heard you talking the other night, it was like, oh, yes, yes. So I really want to get with you and talk about that.
Well,
Yeah, I really think
we definitely will.
You two must parallel each other. I believe you're pretty much on the same wavelength. I'm wondering if you have the same mission.
You know what? I think it's so close because I feel a kinship. I feel like Mary needs to be right on my left hip. Why the left side? I don't know. But like side by side. And it is the neatest feeling. It's just kind of like click, like if you had magnets right there. And they would just attract and lock in. It's such a cool feeling. Well, you get, you were talking about Kristen Roberts.
Yes. Yeah.
She is a doll, and I feel the same way about her.
She is. She's been my mentor for many years now, and I just, very few people would I call a best friend, but she is definitely one of them, without a doubt. She's just an extremely good soul and so good at loving people.
I know it.
It's like it's
an
inspiration.
And she shares, and yeah, she's so willing and so giving, and I miss her. I've not seen her, since last November, and and she's moved up north now, which I'm happy for her. But I'm dying to get back together with her. It's just so easy to sit and laugh and talk, and I love that.
I discovered today that I met Kristen at the Michigan Ghost Coast Paranormal Convention 2018. I didn't realize it until I came across her card today. As long as we're doing name dropping, I think, Exi, you also know Chatan Noir.
I do. She and I were roommates up in Houghton Lake.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah, I know it. Well, yeah, there was the three of us. There was her amazing, funny little dog, who is just adorable, and Chatan and I, and that's the first time we'd met. But yeah, so we had a lot of fun.
Now, I've gone over your Facebook, and one of the things that really, from the very beginning, is natural born medium. Now, I don't know I think there's two kinds of seers, those who are born with ability and those who develop the gift after some kind of a spiritual encounter. So is that right? You were born with a gift?
I was. I have always known things my whole life that I shouldn't know, there is no way I would have a way of knowing these things. But I didn't realize I had this and that it had a title until after I saw my first ghost, whatever the quote that Mary was reading. Until after I saw that ghoulish thing, I didn't realize what was happening. And then that moment jarred it. Yeah.
Age 12? 12 years old?
Yeah. So, I mean, and a lot of people, I've talked to a lot of people, and they ask me, well, when did you hit puberty? And I said, when I was 12. And it was so traumatic to me, that whole thing. I was such a tomboy.
Right.
And so this just changed everything, and it literally changed everything.
Was your mom, or was it on your family at all?
No,
part of
I
what
think
you grew up with?
I think my dad's side, he used to tell me he had an imaginary friend when he was little. He lived in a couple really, really old farmhouses in Milford. And he talked about this, and I looked at him, and I described who this childhood imaginary friend was. And my dad looked at me, and he said, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I'd told you this story before. And I said, you've never brought it up before. And he looked at me, and he said, how do you know? And I said, because, Dad, it wasn't imaginary, it was a ghost. I thought his teeth were gonna fall out. He grabbed his chest. He's like, no. I was laughing. I was like, I am so sorry. I didn't really mean to drop it on you like that. But so he could see spirit. So I think that's really the only connection. Even though my mom has Native American on her side, I really connected to my dad because of that.
Where was
I'm
it
the
you
only
grew
one
up?
of I grew up in Farmington in Michigan.
Okay.
About 35 minutes out of Detroit. But and I found out too, I'm the only person in my family with my blood type.
Do you think there's a reason for that?
Yeah,
I do. I do. I'm AB negative, and they're all just whatever that normal is, A most common. And
Well, who wants to be normal anyway?
well, I don't know what it's like, so I don't know.
I
But
know.
Right.
I asked my doctor about it, and he said it's like you are the 12th child. And I was like, well, I've always liked the number 12, so that kind
You're
of
the 12th
resonated
child.
too. That's what he said. He goes, you would have to be the 12th child for your blood type to be different because of the genetics and the way it would work out. And so he asked me, he goes, how many miscarriages did your mom have? And I said,
Right.
one before me and one after me. So I said, that doesn't equal to 12. And he said, well, he goes, I have no explanation. Why? He goes, you shouldn't.
I want to try to
I
understand. I want to try to understand your abilities. I don't know exactly where they come from or how they work. I guess I'm a 101 if I took the class. But you call yourself a spiritual medium. Is that different than a psychic medium?
Well, that was in the very beginning before I had what I had tuned into as psychic. I mean, I knew stuff, but I always thought that was God's job. And so I didn't want to claim it because I really thought that was his job. And then I sat there one day and I was like, but I know these things, so I'm denying this, and that's not healthy for me because it just messes you up. It messes up your chakras, and it just causes all kinds of blockage. So I thought, you know what? If God brought it to me, I'm supposed to use it. So I started to use it. And it was too funny because it was Deb DeRusse who kind of threw me off the bridge and told me I had to start doing readings. She goes, you have to. She goes, you're messing yourself up. You know all these things. Stop being afraid and make the jump. And so at Little Traverse Bay, like 5 years ago, maybe 6 now. Gosh, could be 6. I started to do readings that day. And they put a sheet of paper on my table when I went to the bathroom, and I came back, and it was full. I was like, what did you just do to me? Besides giving me a massive migraine, I had the worst headache of my life. I was so nervous. Gosh.
People are lined up for
feeling.
reading.
Yeah, you know, Mary, exactly. It's just because you're tense. You want to do such a good job for them. And it was just like the floodgates opened, and some of these women are still my clients. It's really amazing that they didn't call me a fake and walk away. But, I was hitting on stuff, and so it was great. It was just, and I was doing way too long. I was doing half-hour readings to begin, and that's just too much. That's
At what age
such
was
a
that?
drain. Oh, gosh, that was about 6 years ago. I was so afraid to own it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just terrified of owning that. And,
Yeah,
that
think
first
you're
time
nuts.
you get into it and you think to yourself, what the hell was I thinking?
Oh, yeah.
I remember my first time, it was, you're kicking yourself in the butt until you started doing it.
I'm wondering, do you see spiritual things clearly, like all the time?
If I open,
I
I could see it all the time. But I close because it's exhausting. I don't think it's healthy to be open all the time. And I think you call in things, because that was what's happening to me as a kid. I was wide open and didn't know it. And so that's, I was, right after I saw that thing, everything broke loose. And I was seeing doors open and close, chairs push around, footsteps. I mean, I was seeing and hearing everything. And I was wide open, my crown and my third eye, and I did not know any better. And I didn't know they were open, so I didn't close them, and I wouldn't have known how anyway. But as I have grown up, it's like, you know what? I need to close these because you need to take rest and you need to heal and you need to cleanse you so that you can help other people. And that's
so you learned how to shut that off.
In my early 20s, early to mid 20s, I totally shut everything off. I denied everything, walked away from it. My aunt, my favorite aunt, passed away, and I knew she was ill, and I knew she was going to die on me, and it just broke my heart. And at the night she came to me and made an appearance because she promised she would. We both had a Houdini fixation, and we read about the fact that he said he would come back if he could,
right.
Or he asked his mother to come back if she could. And so she said to me, she goes, I will come back if I can. And I'm in my last semester of college studying for finals in this little tiny apartment, lost in my books, and I knew my parents had gone to, she lived in D.C., and I knew my parents had gone there to say goodbye, but, you know, you're 21, you're just in your own head all the time, and plus I'd pushed everything away, and I really didn't want to own the fact I was going to lose her. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, these little cafe curtains, they're like half curtains on windows, blew straight up. The temperature in the room dropped so cold, I could see my breath. I had goosebumps, and I was sweating at the same time. And I knew exactly who it was. And I immediately started to talk to her. And I said, I'm so sorry. I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you for the rest of my life, but you don't hurt anymore. She had bone cancer, and it just ravaged her. And I knew it was her, and we talked for what seemed like a long time, but it was probably a minute or two. And my TV was on, and all of a sudden my TV had gone off, blank, black screen, no volume. And so we talked, and I had this feeling. I knew she had to go. You could feel that pulling away. There's like this pull, and so I just gave her my love, and I told her, please come back, and that this can't be the end. There's got to be more. And as she started to fade away, the curtains laid down, the room warmed up, and my TV came back on. I turned sideways on my bed because I had a wall phone, so I went to reach for the phone, and I picked it up before it ever rang, and I said, hi, Dad. And he started to talk. He didn't realize that the phone had never rung, and he didn't, identify himself. And he told me my aunt had just passed, and so we both kind of cried. And I said, well, I'll see you in a few days. I was going to be done with finals and go home, and they were going to drive home from D.C. And that's all done, and we're home. It's been a week, and we're sitting down, and we're having a beer together, and he says, I have a question for you. And I said, yeah, what? And he said, you picked up the phone, it never rang, and you said, hi, Dad. And I said, yeah, about that. We need to talk. So, yeah. Dad knew more than anybody else in the family.
Yeah, I love that story.
And it was neat. Gosh, she did a great job. I was so proud of her. Just, yay, big show. Boom, the curtains, and I was so proud of her. It was neat.
I wonder, when you're sleeping, do you get visions in your dreams?
I do a lot, and I'll dream of numbers. So somebody will actually physically move my head and look at a wall clock. I had this job. I was a computer tech in an elementary school, and so I was in the media center. So I had computers, books, and kids. It was the best job ever. And I had a dream one night. I was in a hospital ward, and I was going backwards in one of those old secretarial chairs with the 3 or 4 little casters and the little low back and a little seat. And someone's pushing me backwards, and they suddenly spin me around. And so now I'm going forward, and I go through these swinging doors. And I woke up the next morning, and I was like, I'm going to lose my job. I said, my husband's like, what? I said, they just showed me I'm on a new path. I just went through a new door. I'm going to lose my job. And so things like that. And I see when people are going to die. I'm seeing all of my relatives. I'll be in a room, and I'm looking out a doorway into a hall, and people float by. And if they float by and there's no life to them, then I know they're going to pass within 24 to 36 hours. Yeah, that's not a favorite, but sometimes the warning is not a bad thing.
Yeah, to live with that.
I don't tell people. I don't tell them when I see things. Just like in a reading, I've done some readings lately, and I know when they're going to die, and I of course I say nothing, because ethically for me that is not ever would I ever say that. And I've had people ask me that, and I'm like, no, I never see that, but it's started to come. So it's like, I'm going to have some talk with spirit here, because I don't know if I want that.
I keep a poetic journal, and so many times I write a poem, and then one of my relatives passes away like a couple days later, and so I get up at the funeral and read that poem, and I can't tell you how many times that's happened. Right, and I don't seem to see a vision or feel it, but I write it down in my journal, like I say, 2 or 3 days before it happens. So yeah, that's been kind of spooky in my life.
That is a vision to
I'm
me.
interested in your spirit guide. It seems like all mediums have a spirit guide, and do you have just one spirit guide?
Oh no. There's a plethora. I mean, they are endless, and it is for whatever you need, for the time you need it. It was too funny. I was in the living room about 6 months ago. I think this one's Irene.
Oh.
Irene or Eileen or Irene.
Yeah.
Names aren't always my best. I'm working on that, and that was a request. I asked them if we could work on names and on numbers, so I can get ages and maybe street addresses during readings. That would be, and sometimes people just don't get the description of where I'm trying to tell them. And so if I can give them, 488 Buckskin Street, how's that?
Right. So you're asking your spirit guide to help you in those areas?
Yes. The one I currently have.
And then you say that you can connect to other people's spirit guides.
Yes.
Right?
My guide talks to their guides, and then she relates to me. A lot of it's imagery. It's like a big game of charades for me. So they'll show me what they want. So I describe as much as possible. And if they bring it to me, I deliver it. I've learned the hard way that if you don't say it, it's something important. And that's, shame on me. Now, I do have guides that are with me all the time. I have a female on my right and a male on the left, and they're both very Nordic and have spears. And then behind me, I have a 7-foot man that is in a bear skin with the bear head and the whole, and he has a staff, and he has his hand on my right shoulder. So they are always with me. And then I added recently another smaller, she's not a little girl because she's about 2,000 years old, but she looks like a little girl. And she's on my left as well. And she's a hoot. I'm loving her because I'm getting older externally, but internally I will be a kid for the rest of my life. And
how descriptive is that?
Yeah, she's really neat. They're all really neat.
Wow.
The girl on the front with the spear is gorgeous, long blonde hair, and it's braided, and she's in the most beautiful light blue. And then the guy up on the front on the left, he's nicely clad in just like little leather. And he always just turns around and looks at me like, please, because he's really well built. So I appreciate it. It's like, nice.
Yeah.
Hey,
Mary,
why not?
Mary, you got spirit guide too?
I do. I have 5 main ones, and actually the names come and go, but I do. My main guide he's kind of like a monk. When I see him, he is bald and he's dressed as a monk. My second one her name is Angelique, and she's my goth girl. So when I want to dress, goth and kind of mysterious, she's the one that comes through. She's like a little bit of the witchy one. She always tells me to be quiet about the things, not tell too many people. And then I I too have a third guide. Her name is Lochte, and she's a little girl. And she has long brown hair, and she wears a blue dress with little white flowers on it. The first time I met her, I was on a dirt road that was going around a curve, and there was a house behind her, and she was holding a teddy bear, and she asked me that if I like to talk to spirits, and I said, yeah, and she goes, I do too. And she's my rhymer. So when I'm doing a reading and I'm channeling and I'm automatic writing, if I start to rhyme, it's her coming through. And then I have a fourth one, and I forget what his name is because I saw him quickly in a dream, but he's very tall and lanky, but he's a smart one. He tells me when I start to channel and I'm doing intelligent things and I need to get things done, he's the one that comes through to get it done. So when I'm talking fast, he's the one that's helping it. And the fifth one, I've kind of seen him, but I haven't gotten his name yet. So those are my five main ones.
Oh, that's nice. And I like it when you get a new one because to me, it means growth and that you've moved into a new area. And they just they're there, and it's such a good feeling. I love that, and I'm like, all right, what are we gonna do? Let's do this, help me, show me, let's go. And it's just so cool. I have wanted to do this my whole life. I mean, I just always wanted to do readings. I used to watch shows, and then I caught Chip Coffey. He did that Paranormal Kids show, and I loved that show, and I loved his guests that he would have on, and I learned some things from him, and because he was teaching these kids. So I would rerun those and watch those, and finally it was other mediums that would come to me, and they'd be like, you just need to shut your head up so you can hear. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes no sense. And it was just close the clutter and the chatter and just hear what you're really supposed to hear. And that was the hardest thing in the world, but once I did it once, it was like, oh, now I get it. Okay, there it is. And it's right there. But it until you trip into it or fall into it or meditate your way into it, it's just amazing. I love.
Yeah, I guess you need a special quietness. However you achieve that, I can understand you communicating with family members and friends, but it's a little harder for me to understand communicating with pets.
With pets?
With pets.
They're cool. Yeah, they're cool. That's fun. I love that. I love to walk by pets, and they just you talk to them and go, and if I break into conversation with their parent, with their owner or their adult or whoever, I'll just ask them, so, not been sleeping lately? And they will look at me like, what? And then, you get that answer, no, and I don't know why. And it's like, the one was this little Pekingese, and it was so constipated. And I told her, I said, well, he just needs a good poop.
Oh, no.
She started to laugh. The dog looked at me like, yes. So hopefully it happened.
Oh, it's not dead pets that you communicate. It's live pets.
Oh, both. Yeah.
Oh, both.
Pets.
Oh.
Dogs, cats, parrots, chickens, goats, rabbits, hamsters, rats, mice. I mean, squirrels.
You weren't ever on TV, were you, doing that? I seen a lady on TV, and there was this horse, and it had a tooth problem, and she just talked to it, mentally, and then told the owner, yeah, it's got a problem with its tooth, and once they fixed that, the horse was fine. That wasn't you, was it, on TV?
No. Oh. It would have been cool.
Yeah, okay. It sounds like you, though.
That.
Yeah. I think you're at the right place at the right time doing your thing, it sounds like. Now, you don't believe there's any such thing as coincidence. No such thing as a coincidence or accident.
No. It's all happens when it's supposed to. You are there when you're supposed to be. I mean, have you ever talked about somebody and the next day you either run into them or they call you? You put that in the universe, and the universe hears this. And that's not a coincidence. That's the universe acting for you because you asked about them. Wonder how they're doing. Well, the phone rings, or you walk around the corner, or meet them in the drugstore, and so now you can ask them for yourself how they're doing. And I just think that that's really, it's not so complicated. You know, I think everybody tries to make everything so complicated into something huge, and it really all boils down to a lot of simple things. You know, be kind, love, listen, honor.
Simple messages, right. I've had so much synchronicity in my paranormal journey. It's unbelievable. You know, I was a ghost hunter for 8 years, and one of the cases we get a call, come to the cemetery, just happens to be where my parents are buried. And we get a call to do a presentation, just happens to be the town where I went to high school, little cow town. So, but I mean, they're just, it tells me, I guess, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing right now. I'm on the right path.
Yeah. And that's, I think, what synchronicity and just things like, you know, running into someone that you've just asked about, that to me tells you you're where you're supposed to be. That's a great thing.
You kind of hit on this already, but grounding. I mean, the importance of grounding and methods that you use. I know. See, I was on, like I say, I was on your Facebook, and I found out that you and I are pretty much alike. I mean, the stuff that you had in your Facebook is some of the same stuff I use on my shows. But the importance of grounding.
Huge. Sometimes I'll walk around and I feel like the top half of my head is missing. And it's like, how can you go through your day or your week or your month, or feels like a year now with these last, March, April, May, June, July.
All right.
COVID.
Sure.
So I do it with either crystals, or I found this incredible, this Nora Custer. She does this shop online, www.noracuster.com. She pays me nothing, so I'm not getting anything for this. But she's got this smudge spray that I love, and I will order bottles and have it sent to people from her. It grounds. It's, it's got sage and patchouli, rosemary, clove, and it's just perfect. Walking barefoot is great. Sitting on the floor, because it connects so much of you, laying down on the floor, get a mat or whatever. So part of me thinks that part of that connection too is with the yoga. Just even that much for me in yoga sometimes is enough. Like
do you do smudging?
What they call it.
You mentioned smudging.
I do.
You do smudging?
And I do it for people. No. I do it in my home.
White
I bring
sage?
anything home.
Or?
Yeah. Or I just spray it with this stuff. You can even spray stuff with salt water.
Oh, yeah.
I've gone to it's like Lysol for spirits. It cleanses. Yeah, just boil, dissolve salt in hot water and then let it cool. Get a spray bottle from the dollar store. And if you've, sometimes too, it's for me, that's the last cleaner I'll do when I go do a house for someone, a smudging, and I'll go through with that. And it's just like it collects anything residual, just makes it go away.
Never heard of that. Yeah, and I'm interested in that spray. How about Palo Santo wood?
I burn that a lot, just as a capper because it's so intense. And I've had 2 sticks of it forever, and I just light them in my shell with, I use sage, and it's been so long I can't even remember what I use, but I've got it here. Sage, cedar, and sometimes I'll put in lavender. But I like to use things that clean things, but also then backfill. It's like after you've been on an antibiotic, you want to eat yogurt with live active cultures, so you choose the good bacteria you put in your body and not just leave it up to choice. That's what I do when I smudge. I choose what I burn so that I can backfill with goodness and not just leave it empty.
When you're smudging someone's house, do you use certain prayers or affirmations?
I ask what their religion is, and if they don't, or they're not specific, I go generally with Native American.
Oh,
it's just a good of the land, and
right. I call on the 4 winds when I smudge. That's all I do now. I'm not ghost hunting anymore, really. I go into people's houses who want it out. They want it out now.
Yeah.
I like the prayer of St. Francis.
Oh, okay. I will look that
So
up.
I'm delivering peace, peace to the dead mostly. I mean, to the living also, if they're being tormented by some kind of a spirit.
Okay.
But yeah, I call on the four winds. It's really a pagan ritual that I do. I use the different colors that are significant to the different north, south, east, and west. So do you also like investigate paranormal?
I do.
Go
I
into
love
homes and oh, you do that too?
Yep.
I thought you wore many hats.
Yeah. I find that fascinating because I can, and I used to be in a group and that we kind of disbanded, but they liked me to be with them because I could verify things. Like when when you go to a place, if you go to a prison or they give you the whole dit to dit. Well, I wait outside. I don't want to hear it. And then when they're done, they come and get me, and we go through, and I'll be like, well, yeah, this is kind of bizarre. All kinds of weird stuff happened here, and blah 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 blah. Just it gives them verification.
Right. And if you can I look for like a couple things happening at the same time, whether it's my EMF meter going off, and then I have someone who's saying, oh, I got a cold spot right here, or it's someone that's saying, I've sensed something right here. I mean, you get two or three of those things put together, then you might have something.
Yeah.
On your Facebook, I noticed empath kit. You advertise an empath kit with different crystals in it, black tourmaline, smoky quartz, amethyst, fluorite, hemalite. Those are all crystals?
Mm-hmm. And they're just good.
That's interesting.
They're good for blockers because if you're an empath, I'm an empath, you have a lot on your plate. It's sometimes flat out it's a burden, and it's a pain in the ass, to be honest. But so I carry certain crystals, and I put up blockers every day. I put a bubble around me, my husband, my son, our cars, our home, every day. It's like I live in the Silverdome,
Protection.
And because it's protection. I've been attacked. I've been psychically attacked. I've been vampired.
Oh, have you?
It's awful. It's not fun. So I do that now. I've had people, for whatever their reason was, send things to my home to attack me and my family. And so I block now all the time.
Yeah, that's scary stuff.
It is. It's rude and no reason for it. So I put up blockers, and I also put out messages that whatever comes from thee to me goes back to thee 1,000 times greater.
I've been so drained after smudging. After one smudging, I slept for 2 days straight. My wife was really concerned with that one. Usually it doesn't last that long.
Ground yourself better and do some protections so that doesn't happen. I did some big readings on Saturday, and I hadn't read in ages, and it was for a bachelorette party. It was quite a blast. We did distancing and masks and everything, and so it was great. But I was whipped the next day, and I hadn't been that way in a long time, and I just didn't prepare myself before I went. I didn't ground sufficiently, and I normally too, after I do a cleansing. After you do a cleansing in a home, go home and either take a bath in Epsom salts or dissolve Epsom salts in a cup and dump it over your head. And that takes away any attachments or anything that might be heavy and hanging on you.
Okay. Yeah, good message.
Yeah.
Also from your Facebook, signs from your angels. I was really interested in that, signs that things that happen in your everyday life that it's actually a sign if you pay attention to it from I guess your guardian angel.
From your guardians, from the other people's.
You have a long list of things: dimes, pennies, feathers, songs, certain songs, bells, doves. If you see these things, butterflies, certain scents, temperature change, numbers you mentioned earlier, and lights flickering, orbs, goosebumps.
Yep.
I just think that's interesting that you note those things.
They're cool. I mean, they're good things to know. And when I'm doing a reading and I do a truth, and I know it to be a truth, I get the biggest goosebumps. Do you get that, Mary?
Oh, yeah. Yes. All the time.
Yeah. It's like,
that's your validation.
Yes. And it's
right.
and I just look up and I go, thank you. But my brother passed away in April, and he was running what was a family business. So when he passed, the business came to me, and it was something I hadn't really ever thought about I'd be doing. But so now it's mine, and I'm trying to grow it and change it and organize it. And my son has come in with me, and we're doing all these things. So I'm on my bike last week, and I hadn't heard from my spirit guide about this business. I hadn't heard from my dad because it was his father invented it. So last year, this business has been around for 100 years. It's grinding compounds, lubricants. It's all industrial, CNC machine stuff. And so I'm on my bike, and I'm by myself, so I'm talking away as I ride. And I said, okay, spirit guide, I haven't heard from you. If this is good, give me some validation, please. You used to send me feathers galore. I would love, send me a feather, please. That would be great. It would help me know I'm on the right path. And I said, Dad, you used to come to me as a cardinal and sit on the porch and right after he passed. I said, please, if this is where we're supposed to go, let me know. So I was supposed to turn left. I was busy talking. I missed that, so I took the next left. 2 feet in on that street is this 7-inch hawk feather laying in the middle of the street. And I was like, oh! So I circled around, reached down, picked up this hawk feather, and when I looked up, a red cardinal flew 5 feet in front of me across the street. And I was like, thank you
That's amazing.
so much. Wasn't that cool? I was just higher than a kite the rest of the day. I was so thankful.
Well, that's all, that's the validation we need sometimes. It's sort of like when my dad passed away a couple of years ago, but every time that song, don't ask me who sings it, but the first words, a little ditty about Jack and Diane, that,
oh yeah,
I remember it coming on, and I'm saying, okay, if that song is for, before I get out of my car, make sure you play it for me again. And the moment I pulled into my driveway, it came on. So that's just that's your validation. And Wayne, you said it was John Mellencamp?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's who it was. Oh wow. Yeah, you guys have seen some of those signs, and the numbers were interesting too. You had 111, 222, 333, etc. And then 888 is one of them that keeps coming up in my life, and it's material abundance. Your life purpose is fully supported by the universe. I keep coming up with this material stuff in my reading. We had a reading last week, tarot reading, and it was talked about that. And I had a numerologist that broke my name down, and they also came up with this thing like money or that kind of thing. But I'm a hippie. I mean, I'm more concerned with happiness. I don't think money necessarily is going to get me there, but I am into security, and that's what we narrowed down.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I do. I see dollar signs around you, so I think that's good.
What's that? Dollar signs?
I see dollar signs around you.
Oh, yeah,
I do.
Right. Exi, you talk about color, how it can change your daily life, and you sing a lot. So those two things I think are cool.
I do, and nobody really wants to hear me sing, and I don't care.
Yeah.
I went down to meet my son today for lunch. I was so excited, and I sang all the way down there. It was just kind of like, oh, yeah, and I don't care. I know the people in front of me, they watch in the rearview mirror. You can see their heads,
Yeah, right.
And it's just because, man, a mouth open wide, and it's like, I think age is a great thing because I don't care what people think anymore. I don't care what people think about me.
Right.
None of my business what they think of me for first part, which is like, oh, that's a relief. Good. Okay, cool. And the other part is like, I'm not doing this for them. I get up and I get dressed in the morning. I get dressed for me. How do I want to look? How do I feel? These earrings are wild and I want them on today, so I do it for me. And, that's just have fun and live and be who you are. If you're quiet, that's wonderful, and you're thoughtful, and, that's great. And if you know a great joke, please tell me, because you're the entertainer of our world. And I just think that's amazing, and I love it. My favorite, the reason I go into color, too, is because my favorite color when I was a kid, I was a sad kid. I had a hard growing up because I had to keep all this quiet, and it was really tough. My favorite color was navy blue, and I don't know how many years ago now, probably 10 years ago, my favorite color is orange. Bright, scream at you, orange.
Fluorescent orange.
Like, it's that beautiful. I want to paint my front door orange. And
I've
right
seen
now,
some.
It's a beautiful teal now, so I'm happy with that too. That's a little beachy, but I really think, they talk about colors that make you hungry, colors that make you angry, like scents. So our brain is just so amazing. We know so little about it.
Yep. Do you see auras?
I do.
And
I learned.
Color
I can't
significant?
remember her name. I see. What's nice? I see a lot of lime green around people.
Oh yeah.
I can't tell you what that means. I've not sat down to memorize the colors. I have a chart on my phone, but I see a lot of lime green, like limeade green, and I think it's a good thing. It looks great. They look happy. But the other thing too is I'll read people and it's like they have spikes coming out of their head, and when I'm reading them, I'll ask them if they have a headache, and they'll say, sometimes they'll tell me no, but I had a migraine yesterday, and I can still see the residual in their aura, spikes, like big ice spikes coming out of their heads.
Oh yeah.
Or they're angry. They'd had a fight with their husband or their significant other, and it shows. I read a woman not too long ago, and she had a black patch on the top of her head, and I asked her what had happened, and she had head trauma as a child, and that part of her brain is basically dead, and so it shows black. She looked at me, she said, "How did you know that?" And I told her.
Right.
And, I didn't know whether I should have. I was careful how I stated it.
Yeah, that's spooky.
Necrotic. Yeah, because you don't want to tell her, well, it's necrotic,
Right.
That's not, So I just said, that's just a different color. But, yeah, it was pretty cool. I had a class on it years ago. And,
do you think spirits are around us all the time?
All the time.
All the time?
All the time.
Do you have any insights or secrets only you know about the other side?
Oh, gosh. No.
You can whisper if you want.
And if it's a secret, guess what?
If it's a secret,
I'm good at
right?
Those. Yeah, but not really. I do think that there are more than 5 or 6 levels to the other side.
Oh, the next step?
I'm seeing like 12 now. It was 8 a few years ago, 6 and 8, and now I see like 12 levels. And I know that's not the end. There's more. There's much more, which I find thoroughly wonderful, and I can hardly wait to learn more. What are they? Who are they? What are, some of them, it's not like they have any form either, which is very cool.
All chakras above the crown. Yeah, 12, I guess, to look forward to. 12 steps at least. I notice famous quotes, and this is where we are similar, because I use famous quotes all the time. On the last show, I did a little quiz at the end for our final thought, and I did 3 quotes to see if Mary and our guest could come up with who it was. But you, Vincent van Gogh, you talk about being normal. So one quote from your Facebook is, "Normality is a paved road. It's comfortable to walk, but no flowers grow on it." So Vincent van Gogh, it seems appropriate that he would say something like that.
Yeah.
But you also have one from Abe Lincoln. Do you remember the one you used from Abe?
No.
Okay. It's discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. So that's the one you had from Abe. See, I had one from Abe that I've used, and it's the greatest glory in living lies not in falling, but in rising every time we fall. And I think it's a good message with what's going on right now, with the country and the world with this virus.
Part of it, too, is one of the retrogrades that we're in right now is doing exactly this, is so microcosming ourselves and studying everything, and you're questioning everything. Am I on the right path? Am I doing the right career? Why am I in this relationship? Do I really assimilate to this political party anymore? And on and on and on. And there's everybody around the world is asking these questions. It's not just our country. So I find that amazing, because the retrograde affects everybody. So, everyone's being asked these questions.
We got to kind of wrap this up. So we want to get into upcoming and ongoing events. And it just so happens we've been plugging one of the events that you're going to be at, and that's the Mid-Michigan Paranormal Convention.
Yes, it's fabulous. It really
That's coming up.
Really is.
You got the date on that? Because I don't have that written down here.
November 8th.
Yep, November 8th, and that's at the Flint, Michigan.
Yeah.
Now, Chatan Noir is going to be there with you.
Yeah.
Kathleen Tetson. you're probably friends with Kathleen.
Yep.
Mary's friend and mentor, right, Mary? Kristen?
That's right.
Kristen Roberts.
She will.
Is going to be there. We've been plugging that.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Thank you. They do an amazing job. It's a lot of fun. I think this year I'm speaking, vending, and doing a gallery. So I
definitely
hope
check
to see
that
everybody.
out. Yeah, it's not that far for people in the area. And then
it's great. It's really good central.
Yeah, and a lot of people are going to be there. Now, actually, you're going to be on Grand Rapids Ghost Hunters Paranormal Podcast out of WKTV Studio, and that's going to be the end of next month. So we're looking forward to that. People get to see you, not just hear you. Yeah. And then we want to go into shout out. Esther Joy was on our show last week or 2 weeks ago, and a shout out to Shatan, who was on WKTV, and Mary, guest host on that. So that was fun. And we might as well shout out to Kim Colleen and Brandon Jose, co-host on WKTV. Now, my final thought is the light. Now, everyone has a different perception of what it's all about, what it means. To me, it's something tangible. But if you guys can real quick tell me what the light means to you.
Mary, you want to go first?
Sure. The light, for me, is all about spirituality, really. You have the light and the darkness where it kind of fights against each other. The whole point of the spirituality and to raise your vibration and to connect with spirituality across the veil is to shut out that darkness. And the more we can get people to cross over to that side and awaken their vibrations and see beyond that veil, the more we fight the darkness and bring in the light and raise everybody's vibration. That's what the light means for me.
That's wonderful. For me as well, but also when I am in need, I can bring the light down and help someone cross over and go home. They can step into the light and it's like beam me up, Scotty. It's a really cool, wonderful, heart-wrenching thing sometimes. But for me, the light is everything. It's important. It's love, safety. It's another day. It's another opportunity. It's life. Things grow in the light, love, happiness. So for me, it's really important. But that's what it is for me too.
Yeah, like you're stepping in to the light, like the next step, like light represents the next step. I know Mary's on a mission to bring love, light, and healing to those who need it. And then that's why I was in an interview with some Christians who thought that my reference to the light wasn't appropriate because I use prayers where I'm putting a shield of light around people, and they said that just wasn't. But light appears in the Bible 177 times. And so I don't think Christians should be.
It's their interpretation, too, and they're entitled to that. But then so are you entitled to yours.
Jesus said, I am the light of the world, the light of life. My grandfather was a ghost hunter, and he saw ghosts several times. And he described the ghost as like the light of a lantern. So for me, it's tangible. The light is something that is in every one of us. And it comes out. I mean, this is just a housing. Our body is a housing for that light is all.
Yeah.
And I really think it's something that we can touch.
Yeah.
They say light accompanies transcendence into nirvana. Now, I don't know if you guys are trying to get to nirvana or not. Maybe not so much.
I think we all have a little bit of a longer journey in a sense, but I think that's the ultimate goal. In the end, that's what the many lifetimes are for.
Everybody's nirvana is different, too.
I want to sign off with a reference to our intro and the one line from my poem, the one line, in one many, in many one. I think pretty much we're dust in the wind. As a world, we are one, but we are many people in that one. We are all pebbles chiseled from the same rock, flames from the same fire. So I think let your light shine. I think that's the message I have for this show.
Very nice.
It's a good message.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me on. It was wonderful.
It was sure fun.
Oh,
I'm looking forward to seeing you in a month.
Yeah.
Peace out, everybody.